it in the sense that if you guys are learning, I think this is a good mode. Okay, so we will start. I told you I'm done with whatever I know about electrostatics, and then I have communicated most of it. Whatever I know, I have communicated to you. So there is a lot more we can analyze, but a lot of that analysis can happen after you guys do some work. So that is what I want to say. Then what else I want to say is this, that suppose here's a question for you. Suppose you have a charge particle here, Q. You have another charge particle here, same Q. This is plus, this is minus. Now, if this has a mass m and this has a mass m, and then you leave them. So this particle moves in this direction, this particle moves in this direction. After some time, they'll collide somewhere.
ஹலோ சார். ஹலோ சார், உங்கள் வாய்ஸ் கேட்கல சார். ஹலோ சார். ஹலோ சார்.
யா
சார் உங்கள் வாய்ஸ் ஓகே சார், இப்போ செக் பண்ணி பாருங்க சார்.
ஆமாம், பட் யூ ப்ளீஸ் பி ஆன்லைன், டோன்ட் கோ அவே.
சார் நான் பார்த்துட்டு இருந்தேன் சார், அதான் பார்க்குறேன் சார்.
ஓகே 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 ஓகே. So I'm saying that electrostatic forces are conservative forces. So because they are conservative forces, the potential energy will get converted into kinetic energy, and the potential energy of the system is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught k q squared by d. So now this will become equal to half into m into v squared, but there are two masses, so it will become 2 times that much. Yeah, and both will have the same velocity. So from here now you can calculate the velocity. Velocity will become equal to root over of the rest of the stuff. Okay, so this you know. So this is one situation that we did not discuss. There are potential questions possible from here. You will have to work it out. Now the second situation is this. The second situation, like I keep saying, you see, there is endless amount of analysis possible. So yeah, so the second thing that I want to discuss is the Mulliken's oil drop experiment. Okay, I don't want to discuss the full thing. I just want to tell you a little bit about it. What Mulliken did is this. He had a chamber. Okay, in this chamber, he sprayed oil drops, tiny oil drops, sprayed tiny oil drops. Not just they were tiny, they were also charged. So he sprayed tiny charged oil drops. So these oil drops, they were falling, and as they were falling, he generated an electric field in the reverse direction. Okay, so he generated a electric field in the reverse direction. So, and then he tried to find out that value of electric field where the particles move with a uniform velocity. So with a constant velocity, so the point where the particles move with a uniform velocity. So uniform velocity means what? The particles are now coming with zero acceleration. Zero acceleration means net force is equal to zero. So if net force is equal to zero, then what is happening is that upward force must be equal to downward force. Now what is the upward force? Upward force is Q into E. What is the downward force? M into G. Well, M into G is not the only downward force. I mean, M into G is the only downward force, but Q into E is not the only upward force. There are these upthrust is there, no? Because these are very tiny oil drops. There is an upthrust. So you need to work with the upthrust also. So depending on the situation. So suppose if there was no upthrust, then Q into E is equal to M into G. So from there I can say that Q by M is equal to G by E. So he knows the value of E, you know the value of G. So from there you could find out the Q by M ratio. So this is what the first scientist was not able to find out charge, was not able to find out mass. They were able to find the Q by M ratio of subatomic particles. Okay, they were able to find out the Q by M ratio of subatomic particles. Okay, so this is basically how he found out. Now, if you want to use upthrust also, there is no problem. 4 by 3 pi r cube into rho. This is the mass of volume of the solid. Sorry, this is the volume into density of the solid of the oil drop. So I'll just put as O. Okay. Now this into gravity is the downward force. Minus 4 by 3 pi r cubed rho air or rho gas. This is the mass of the displaced air. This into gravity will give you the upthrust. Now this is equal to what? Is equal to the downward force mg. Now if you want to make it more accurate, you can include the viscous force also. What is the viscous force? Equal to 6 pi eta AV. So we can include that also in this. Yeah. So now if this whole thing is equal to, so this is the, oh no, I'm making a mistake. This is not mg. This is the upward force. This is the upthrust, and this is equal to the viscous drag. Now there's an upward force Q into E, and this must be equal to 0. So I have weight minus upthrust minus viscous drag minus force due to electric field. This is equal to the net force is equal to 0. Why? Because the particle is moving with uniform velocity. Now suppose I remove this one, it will just be this much. Suppose I remove this much, already we have done that. So now if you want to set this right out, 4 by 3 pi r cubed rho oil minus rho air into gravity, this is equal to Q into E. So from here you can find out whatever is the unknown, you can find out. Yeah, so that's it. So that's how you can basically, we were interested in the Q value, so we can find out what the Q value is. So there are these kinds of questions. I have not discussed these kinds of questions. It is not possible for me to discuss all types of questions. You will have to work. Some students had asked me some questions regarding multiple batteries. I don't mind answering that, but what will happen is that in the next chapter, we'll be dealing with these things again. So suppose there's a capacitor like this, and suppose there's another capacitor here, and maybe there's another battery here. So what will happen when you put this switch on? Okay, so all these kinds of questions, we'll take it up. after towards the end of the next chapter. Towards the end of the next chapter, again we'll discuss certain portions of capacitors again. Okay, so that we will work. Okay, so as of now, I hope you are able to understand the situation and position. The situation is we have finished chapter number 1 and we have finished chapter number 2. Maybe you have learned chapter number 1, you have not learned chapter number 2. Please do. Please look at all the questions in the book. And try to solve them on your own. And please make sure that you are submitting your work. Only when you submit your work, things will be pakka. Okay. So this much I would like to say. I have mostly done everything. I have to now go to the next chapter. So over the next 20 minutes, not 20 minutes, maybe up to 150, I'll give you an introduction to the next chapter. After that, we will stop today. Then we will stop again. We'll start again the next class. That is tomorrow's class. We will learn afresh. Suppose I take a metal. Suppose I take a metal, a conductor, and I place it in an external electric field.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, again, கொடுத்துறேன் sir. Start பண்ணு sir.
திருப்பி கொடுங்க.
அந்த கொடுங்க sir.
நீங்க இன்னைக்கு கவனிச்சுட்டே இருங்க. ஏன்னா இன்டர்நெட் இங்க ரொம்ப வீக்கா இருக்கு.
கவனிச்சுதான் சார் இருக்கேன். பார்த்தா சார் இருக்கேன். சார் பண்ணிட்டேன் சார்.
ஓகே ஓகே. ஸ்கிரீன் வருதா?
சார் விசிபிள் ஆகுது சார்.
Visible. Okay, thank you.
Sir, visible ஆகுது sir.
Okay, so suppose you have a conductor. I have taken a conductor. And I have placed in an external electric field. What I am drawing in this red and green is an external electric field. So when I place it in an external electric field, you guys have already known or learnt it that the electrons are going to come onto this side. The electrons will come onto the left side, and then you will have the positives on the right side. Okay, so this is something that you've already learned, and then you understand that there is a reverse field within the conductor. There is a reverse field within the conductor, and a situation comes up when the electric field outside minus the electric field inside is the net electric field, and you know that the net electric field is 0. Yeah, and we said that in electrostatic conditions,
ஹலோ சார்.
ஆமா
சார், இப்ப உங்க ஹோஸ்டா சேஞ்ச் பண்றேன் சார். திரும்ப பண்றேன் சார்.
ஓகே.
பண்ணிட்டேன் சார். ஷேர் பண்ணி.
ஸ்கிரீன் வருதா?
Sir, display ஆகுது sir.
Okay, so we said that in electrostatic conditions, in electrostatic conditions, there is no electric field. There is no electric field inside a conductor. Okay, so I hope you guys remember all this, right? Now, this is possible because a conductor has infinitely many charge carriers. Conductor by definition has infinitely many charge carriers, and it is because of these charge carriers that there is a redistribution taking place as long as there is a force. So this aspect, I hope all of you are able to understand, right? Now, once you understand this particular aspect, now we will do a small change to this and then we will see what exactly happens. Now, suppose I take the same conductor and which was exposed to the same
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
share பண்ணுங்க.
பண்றேன் சார். சார் ஷேர் பண்ணிட்டேன் சார்.
Okay, okay. Yeah. So I was telling you that in electrostatic conditions, there is no electric field inside the conductor. Then this is all possible because a conductor has infinitely many charge carriers. And these infinitely many charge carriers will readjust such that the net field inside the conductor becomes zero. Now we have learned all these things, and then we said that, you know, electric field inside the conductor will become E divided by K. And we said this is zero. So we said K is equal to infinity, and all these things we said. Now we are moving on with the same thing, and I'm just developing our concept further, and I am giving you a situation. So there is something like this. You have the positives on this side, though the positives don't move because they are all sitting inside the nucleus. It is only the negatives which move. And there is a situation like this. Now my question to you is this. Suppose I connect it to a bulb here, and then I just connect the two ends. What is going to happen? So look, this is an electric field. Yeah, this is an electric field. In the direction of the electric field, the positives have moved. Suppose I call this side A and I call this side B, and the potential here is VB and the potential here is VA. So we know that the electric field is in the negative direction of potential gradient. So if this is the electric field, then I would like to tell you that VB is greater than VA. VB is greater than VA. Yeah. So because VB is greater than VA, what is going to happen is, theoretically, if the positives will go from this side and they will go on to this side. But you know that positives can't move. So it is not the positives, but it is the electrons which are high on this side. They will start moving, and then they'll move from this side and they'll keep going from one side to the other side. Now, when the electrons come from this side to this side, do you see that the charge here will reduce? So if the charge here will reduce, then the electric field inside the electric field that we were talking of, which goes from this end to this end, that electric field will reduce. So the moment there's an electric field reduction, again there will be a force. So what will happen is, continuously there will be charge flow. There will be charge flow. Continuously there will be charge flow, and then the charge will move from the plus side to minus side, but we know positives can't move, so it is only the electrons. So the electrons will move from the negative side to the positive side. Do you understand this? The electrons will move from the negative side to the positive side. as long as there is an electric field. So the moment there are two things. It's not just the electric field. First, the circuit has to be there. So as long as the external circuit is there, so as long as the external circuit is there, as long as the external electric field is there, the charge will move from one side to the other side. And we know positives can't move, it's only the negatives which will move, right? So what we have done here is we have established electric field, we have established a current. How did we establish a current? By ensuring that there is a potential difference between two ends. So if there is a potential difference between the two ends of a conductor, there will be current flow. So the next chapter that we are going to talk of is about current flow and when and how current will flow. Before that, please make sure that you are able to understand this. If you understand this, then we will move ahead. So please make some notes and make sure that you are understanding this. So what we are saying is, as long as there is a potential difference between the terminals of a conductor, current flows. Second, we are talking of a closed circuit. So if you have an open circuit, current won't flow. Okay, then yeah. So this is what we are talking. So I have a conductor here. So this is one end of the conductor. This is the other end of the conductor. So I have A here, I have B here. I have maintained them at a different potential. So I have VA here, I have VB here. I have ensured that VA is greater than VB. So the electric field lines will move from higher potential to the lower potential. So we are talking about these field lines, imaginary field lines. So these imaginary field lines are there through the conductor. Now, the first case that you will tell me that, sir, you had already taught us that there cannot be an electric field inside a conductor. Then how come you have an electric field here? So the answer to that is pretty simple. The answer to that is we cannot have an electric field inside the conductor in electrostatic conditions. In electrostatic conditions. Now we are talking about new conditions. So what is the condition that we are talking of now? We are talking of electrodynamic conditions. Okay, so we are talking of electrodynamics. So in electrodynamics, there can be an electric field. There has to be an electric field. Only when there is an electric field will charges move. Otherwise, charges won't move. So dynamics means movement. So charge will move only when there is an electric field. So if there is no electric field, charge won't move. Okay. So in this particular chapter, we are going to talk about current. Current is nothing but the rate of flow of charge. So in this chapter, we are going to talk about current. Current is nothing but the rate of flow of charge. Now we are going to talk about this rate of flow of charge. We are going to analyze, we are going to ask what is going to happen, when will charge flow, why will charge flow, how much charge will flow. So we will ask ourselves all those questions and obviously we will answer as many as we can. Okay, so this is what it is. Now there are many theoretical aspects, small theoretical aspects. I have drawn 4 field lines here. I have drawn the same 4 field lines here. Why? Okay, so that's the first question. Let's try to answer that first question. Now, suppose I have a charge here Q, and suppose I surrounded by a conductor. So what is going to happen if there is Q here? Do you understand that there will be minus Q inside? So if minus Q is there inside, the field lines will go from this Q to this minus Q, they'll go and then they'll stop there. Then if there is this Q is insulated. So if minus Q is there again, so on the outer surface, again plus Q will be induced because this shell is insulated. I mean the shell is neutral. So plus Q will come on this. So when plus Q comes on this, again the field lines will come from here. Do you understand this? So do you see here that there is a break? What is the logic for that break? There cannot be an electric field inside a conductor. But suppose this shell itself had a charge Q. Then on the outer face, you would have now Q plus Q. Now, do you see that there will be few more number of field lines here? So why was there a change in field lines from here to here, from inside to outside? Why is there a difference in field lines? Because there is some new charge coming up. There is new charge involved. Do you understand this? Initially there was only Q. Now we put Q outside. So the net charge on the outer plate is Q plus Q. So there are more field lines outside than they are inside. Do you understand this concept? So if you look at this particular situation and the fact that the number of field lines here and here are the same, what does it indicate? That there is no accumulation. There is no accumulation of charge. What do you mean by this? That nowhere inside is charge getting stored. So this is a big assumption that we are going to use, and we are going to talk in those terms. That whenever current flows through a conductor, there is no accumulation of charge inside the conductor. We are talking of a steady state flow. What do you mean by a steady state flow? A steady state flow is a flow where the current input through the conductor is equal to the current leaving the conductor. So you have a conductor here. You have a situation where you have maintained a potential difference VA. You have maintained a potential difference VB, and VA is greater than VB, and you said there's an electric field going from A to B. So here's an electric field going from A to B. This is the direction of the electric field. This is the direction of the electric field. The number of field lines here, is equal to the number of field lines here. Why? Because there is no accumulation. Accumulation na enna nadula edda edathiliyum charge appadi nikkiradille. Inde there cannot be purida. So there is no charge getting stored anywhere. Appa, what is the charge on the conductor? The net charge on the conductor is 0. Net charge on the current carrying conductor is 0. Upper in the pakka, whatever current is entering the system, dq1 by dt, the same current is leaving the system, dq final by dt. So first we are saying that current is the rate of flow of charge. Current flows through a conductor only when there is a potential difference between the terminals of the conductor. Then we are saying inside the conductor there is no accumulation. Accumulation na ange charge poi serthi vitradille. Ange charge is not sitting anywhere inside. A conductor is electrically neutral, and any charge entering the system is equal to the charge leaving the system. Okay. So I am showing you these three diagrams again. Can you please make some good notes for yourself? So charge entering the system is equal to charge leaving the system. There is no accumulation of charge anywhere. What do you mean by accumulation? Accumulation means there is no collection of charge inside the conductor anywhere. So what is the net charge of the conductor? Net charge of the conductor is 0. Okay. Now I explained to you how if there was more charge, then more field lines would come. Suppose there is a conductor here. Here there is one field line. Here there are 3 field lines. What can you infer? That there is some charge here which is giving rise to field lines here. புரியுதா இது? So the field lines go from positive from the higher potential to lower potential. Charge actually moves from lower potential to higher potential because the charge that we are talking of is a negative charge. Because it's a negative charge, the lower potential will actually be higher potential for negative charge. So charge will actually move from lower potential to higher potential. But we don't consider negative charge as current. When we brought test charge, it was positive. When we spoke of electric field, it was force on unit positive charge. When we spoke of potential, it was the work done to bring a positive charge. Same way, when we talk of current, it is only the motion of positive charge that we will talk of. Though in reality, the positive charge doesn't move. Okay, so if you have a circuit here, so this is a circuit. Now this is a battery, and this is a closed loop. Now in this battery, there is a positive terminal. This is the positive terminal. The longer line is a positive terminal. The shorter line is the negative terminal, and current flows from the longer line towards the shorter line. Yeah, this thing that you have here is called a resistance. Resistor, sorry, not resistance, resistor, which has some resistance. And this is what is referred to as a battery or a cell. And it is the cell which gives rise to a current. So the question that you could ask is, why does the charge not flow this way? Well, the charge doesn't flow that way because you have a physical barrier. And you are not allowing charge to move that way. Charge is allowed to move only in the external circuit. Charge is allowed to move only in the external circuit. No charge is allowed to move internally. Physically, you have stopped them. Okay, do we understand this? Now we say that the current goes from the high potential to low potential. So this is the direction of flow of positive charge. But in reality, positive charge doesn't flow. It's only the negatives which flow. So I can make a statement that direction of flow of current is the direction of movement of positive charge. But in reality, the positive charge doesn't move, only the negatives move. So it is opposite to the direction of motion of negative charge. Yeah, so this is what current is. The unit of current is ampere. If 1 coulomb flows past in 1 second, I call it 1 ampere. So 1 coulomb per second is ampere. Ampere is a fundamental dimension, coulomb is not. So the dimension of current is this. Now current is a scalar quantity. Current is a scalar quantity. In reality, it's a tensor quantity. That means they basically act like scalars, but they have some directional property. There itself, you have drawn a direction for the current. So the moment you draw a direction for the current, it implies that it has to have directional properties. So it has directional properties. but it's a scalar quantity. It's a scalar quantity because it acts like scalars. Okay, can you make some notes? Okay, so if you are getting it, then let's move on. So you have a conductor. So in this particular conductor, you have A here, you have B here. This is VA, this is VB. So VA is at a higher potential than VB. VA is at a higher potential than VB. So we have the field lines which are going from one side to the other side. And we said there is no accumulation anywhere. Then we said the current entering the system is equal to current leaving the system because there is no accumulation. So I is nothing but dq by dt. This is nothing but dq by dt. So I entering is equal to I leaving. Yeah, then I also just now explained to you the flux. So the flux input is equal to the flux output. So the flux entering the system is equal to the flux leaving the system. In the process, I explained to you that the conductor is neutral. Then I explained to you that there is an electric field. Then current flows in the direction of the electric field. Current flows in the direction of the electric field. Okay, current flows in the direction of the electric field. Then the movement of current is the movement of electric charge, is the movement of the free electrons, So why are there? Where are these free electrons? These free electrons are there all over. Where will you have these free electrons? In conductors, mostly in metals. So the outermost, the valency electrons. The valency electrons are basically, they become the free electrons. They are the ones which keep moving. How are they moving? These electrons are in a state of random motion. They are in a state of random motion, constantly colliding with each other. Constantly colliding with each other and the walls of the container. I'm sorry, constantly colliding with each other and not the walls of the container, that is for gases. Constantly colliding with each other and there's nothing else that an electron can collide with. So they will be constantly colliding with each other. So they are moving in a zigzag manner, random manner. What actually happens is that if you have a conductor if there are these electrons which are moving in a random manner, when you apply an electric field, they slowly get drifted. They are still moving in the random manner, but they get drifted. So if there is some way I can color the electrons, to start with they were here, but after some time they move on. Okay, they slowly get drifted. And the current that we have is due to a drift in the electrons. The current that we have is due to a drift in the electrons. Okay, so that's enough for the day today. I want you to go read the text and come. Tomorrow's class we will read more. Let me first check if there are any questions from you all. So if there are questions from you all, video is also lacking. What time did he put that message? Doesn't give the time. Okay. Okay, so don't worry. So this is what is the lesson today. I am going to repeat this thing again. Tomorrow we are going to read more about current electricity. So please read up to experimental verification of Ohm's law. That is 2 pages or 2 or 2.5 pages. Please read up to experimental verification of Ohm's law. Okay, so please read up to here and I will explain. I will show you the slides once again. So I was talking about what happens when the electrons come closer, when the charged particles come closer. The fact that potential energy gets converted into kinetic energy, and from there you'll be able to find out the velocity with which they collide. Similarly, if you have a positive charge here and if you have a positive charge here and you leave it, this positive charge moves in this direction. So when it moves in this direction, we can find out the velocity when it reaches a particular point. Then I explained to you about the fundamental basis of Mulliken's oil drop experiment. This Mulliken's oil drop experiment is an experiment which will help you calculate the Q by M ratio. Okay, what he did is he sprayed oil drops, very tiny oil drops, and then again he created an electric field so that the oil fields are pushed up, so that it is pushed up. So once it is pushed up, then after some time we see that the oil drop falls down with a constant velocity. So that is this time where the net force is 0. So I took a very simple case first where Q into E is equal to mg, and then again I worked with it. Then I took up a case where there is viscous drag also, and then this also. So yeah, so this is the thing. Then I explained to you how to calculate up first. These kind of questions we will see after we do the 3rd chapter. What's the next one? So the next one. So tomorrow's class we will do this, start from here. This I already explained to you. Same thing. We understand it perfectly. Yeah, I was just explaining to you about this exact motion of the electrons and how the electrons are moving. So there's a question as to why is it that they have chosen the charge of an electron to be a big number like 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. Well, there are a lot of things that the whole of electromagnetism is defined on charge. So they had to come up with some, they could have told the charge is 1 also, but when they did the molecular oil drop experiment, when you have that Q by M ratio has to match. Then they are able to find out M, so it has to match, these numbers have to match. So just to take care of numbers, units, they have done. Maybe I'll explain better as we move again. Okay. Yeah, so we'll get back to you on this. We'll move. Tomorrow we will learn more about this. Okay. Bye.